Welcome to the online worship service here at First Jefferson Unitarian Universalist Church in Fort Worth, Texas. My name is Reverend Dr. Aija Duelm, and I am delighted to return here today as your guest speaker. I'm glad you're joining us for worship. We continue to gather in the safest ways possible, seeking to stay connected and looking forward to the day when we all can once again greet each other in person. Our liberal faith calls us to engage the world and our neighbor. Our ministry and work has not stopped. The world needs us even more. The world needs our care, our talents, our passion, our commitment to justice and dignity of each being. And we need our faith to ground us so we can continue our journeys. So let us begin by centering ourselves as your talented minister of music, pianist Misha Beresnev, plays the prelude. We enter our sacred space together with words adapted from Ella Boyer called Right Here, Right Now. As we create and share sacred space together, let us reflect upon what brings us here. We have all come for different reasons, from different decisions, faced different challenges, and shared different love. And yet all of our differences have led us to this space right here, right now. We are the children of God, the children of the earth. We're fully grown adults here as a piece of the ongoing cycles of the universe, the children of the stars. We all have different definitions and explanations to who or what or why we are. Perhaps all are right. Our revelation is not sealed. Despite all that is different, there is one thing that is certainly the same. Somehow, we are all right here, right now. We are growing and changing and discovering all here, all together. Sharing the same sacred space we have shared for years, throughout generations. Constantly evolving, constantly changing. Let us continue. Let us change and fight together. Let us adapt together. Let us grow together. Let us worship together. Please join us for our opening hymn, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky. Song leader today is Della Perden.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores while spirits fly, over the ocean, over the land, our faith a quest to understand. Touch the earth, reach the sky, children ask the reasons why. In our lives the answers show, and by our love they learn and grow. Touch the earth, reach the sky, all are born and all shall die. Life's the time left in between, to follow a star, to build a dream. Touch the earth, reach the sky, hug the laughter, feel the cry. May we give where we can give, for this is what it means to live. Touch the earth, reach the sky, soar with courage ever high, spirits joining as we fly, to touch the earth, to reach the sky.
We light our chalice, the symbol of our liberal faith. And as we light it, I invite you to join me and say these words together. We light our chalice for Epiphanies, great and small, for stargazers and pilgrims everywhere who are foolish enough and brave enough to follow their stars, to travel by night, and who bestow their uncommon gifts on us all. This week, Christmas celebrations continued in many places across the world. Many of you know the song called The 12 Days of Christmas. These 12 days ended this week on January 6th. And here in the United States, the day is mostly celebrated as the Feast of Epiphany. As Unitarian Universalists, we may not be all celebrating this day for various reasons. Yet we all may have experienced epiphanies in our lives, great or small, and our lives changed. John William Benison says, "The trouble with epiphany is that it often leads to enlightenment. And enlightenment can alter the way one sees the world and one's relationship to it." I invite you to consider these epiphany moments, small, big, recent, or from a long time ago. And consider these questions. How have your own epiphany moments changed your life? Have you ever given a gift of epiphany to someone else? What do you need at this time to be open to your next Epiphany? And please join us on Tuesday evening during the Zoom meeting to share your thoughts and experiences. You will find the Zoom link in our weekly newsletter. I invite us to ground ourselves in the covenant of this community. Please join me in reminding ourselves of the promise we give to each other. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community to the end, that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Our story for all ages was written by Daniel Harper, and he used the source from the Gospel according to Matthew, 2nd chapter, verses 1 through 12. So here is the story, how he writes it. You have probably heard of the 12 days of Christmas. Maybe you have wondered how there could be 12 days of Christmas when you know perfectly well that Christmas only lasts one day. It all has to do with the Magi who visited Bethlehem. But Magi is the Greek word, which means sorcerer or magician. So I'd better call them magicians. And tell you what, let me tell you the whole thing as if it is a story. Once upon a time, long, long ago, there lived some magicians in the mysterious lands of the East. These magicians were astrologers too, which means they looked at the stars in the sky at night and made predictions about what might happen. These magicians worshipped their own gods and goddesses. They held rituals where they burned incense and used costly herbs to make potions. These women and men were wise people indeed, and their neighbors would come to them for advice and help. Their neighbors valued the wisdom of the magicians so much they would pay for the advice in solid gold. One night, the magicians stayed up quite late so they could watch the stars. They looked at all the stars spread out over the night sky. First, they looked to the north, studying all the stars carefully. Then they turned to the eastern sky and the southern sky and the western sky. And at last, they studied the stars straight overhead. After a while, one of them turned back to the eastern sky. "Look," she said, "there's a new star in the east." And the magicians turned and looked, and indeed, there was a new star in the east. But what could this mean? It was very, very rare for a new star to appear in the sky. So the magicians studied all the stars, and at last they determined that some of them should travel to the east to see if they could find out what the new star meant. They loaded up some camels, bringing along food and water and some of the other things they need for their rituals. 12 of them set forth, 12 men and women following the mysterious new star. They traveled and traveled and traveled for more than a week. And at last they arrived in the distant city of Jerusalem, right about on the day we would call January 4th. They presented themselves at the home of the ruler of Jerusalem, who was a man named King Herod. When the magicians met King Herod, they did not like him very much. But they didn't know whom else to ask about the star. Well, King Herod did not know about the star. He called his astrologers, but King Herod's astrologers did not know anything about the star either. At last, in frustration, the magicians left the home of King Herod. When they got back outside, there was the star, brighter than ever, only now it was more to the south. They decided to head south. They walked for 2 more days and finally arrived in Bethlehem. As they were wondering where they should go next, they ran into a group of shepherds, and they began talking with these shepherds. "We've been walking for 12 whole days," said the magicians, "trying to figure out what this new star is that we can see in the sky." 12 days? Huh, said one of the shepherds. "Well, 12 days ago, we saw the most beautiful little newborn baby in the stable. In fact, the family is still there, just up the hill in that stable right up there." "Interesting," said the oldest and wisest magician. She thought about it for a moment and then said, "But I'm not convinced that our star was trying to tell us about this particular child. Every new child is important and special. Nevertheless, as long as we are here, let us go and admire this particular little baby." So the shepherds took the magicians up the hill, and they all went in to see the cutest little baby. The magicians brought out some incense and myrrh and performed magical ritual for newborn babies. And since the baby's parents looked as though they didn't have much money, the magicians gave them some gold. Then the magicians went back off on their quest to see if they could find what the new star really meant. Now, you know why we talk about 12 days of Christmas, because it took 12 days for the magicians and magi to travel all that long way and see the newborn baby named Jesus. As for the rest of the story I've told you this morning, some of it is based on serious scholarship. The Magi were not kings, but were some kind of magicians. And some of the story I made up. We really don't know how many Magi there were, so I made up that there were 12. So this was story as written by Daniel Harper. And I invite you to join our next hymn, We Three Kings, which uses the language of kings and gives the number 3 to the travelers.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar, field and fountain, moor
want to begin with a reading. It comes from our gray hymnals. And it is called Why Not a Star by Margaret Gooding. They told me that when Jesus was born, a star appeared in the heavens above the place where the young child lay. When I was very young, I had no trouble believing wondrous things. I believed in the star. It was a wonderful miracle, part of a long ago story foretelling an uncommon life. They told me a supernova appeared in the heavens, and its dying burst of fire about the time the babe was born, its appearance recorded in the histories of time. And since I was older and believed in science and reason, I believed the story. It was a scientific fact, foretelling nothing, merely the source of a lovely legend. But I found I was unwilling to give up the star, fitting the symbol for the birth of one whose uncommon life had been long remembered. The star explained became the star understood. For Jesus, for Buddha, for Zarathustra. Why not a star? Some bright star shines somewhere in the heavens each time a child is born. Who knows what it may foretell? Who knows what uncommon life may yet again unfold if we but give it a chance? Why not a star? Asks Margaret Goodwin in the reading. In our house, stars and planets receive quite a lot of attention. Just before Christmas, we got out our old telescope that has zero potential to compete with modern-day technology, and went outside to the field to look at so-called Christmas star, the conjunction of two planets, Saturn and Jupiter. It was the closest these two planets have appeared together in 800 years, and many call this event rare. We wanted to witness this event, and we did, gazing at the planets and one of its moons that we could see through our telescope, and enjoying the warmth of the evening. It probably by now will not surprise you that the astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson is a hero in our house. He has a unique gift of making astrophysics accessible by explaining it in a common language, these complicated concepts about dark matter that is not even a matter, about the many other galaxies besides our Milky Way, about gravity laws and existence that is significantly different than what we know here on Earth, about occlusions that we call rare, yet they are not so rare at all and happen more often than our elections, about the color of the sun that is not yellow as most of us believe, but white, and about creation of our own existence, the supernova that made the earth and all of us from stardust. I came to admire Neil deGrasse Tyson several years ago when my husband and I watched the series Cosmos that he narrated. These series are eye-opening if you have not been already aware of the fact that in the vast scheme of history, the life on earth and our human existence is a minuscule. To me, this was somewhat like an epiphany moment, to realize that we humans are not at the center of the universe. The universe does not revolve around us, our lives, and our desires. I treasure these kinds of epiphanies. They fill me with wonder and awe for the mystery of life around us. I believe that as Unitarian Universalists, most of us like epiphanies. We seek to increase our awareness and appreciation of the world's wonders. We love any illumination, discovery, realization that comes to us as an aha moment and increases our understanding. We may call these experiences light bulb moments when something gradually yet suddenly dawns on us or clicks into place. Yet there is a difference between the light bulb moments and epiphanies. Epiphanies are marvelous, miraculous events that have the power to reveal the very depths of who and what we are, and they change us. They change who we are and how we relate to the world around us. This is why the word epiphany originally referred to divine revelation, to denote the power of such experience. The story of the Epiphany that comes to us from the Christian tradition and that was narrated by Daniel Harper today illuminates the power of such experience. Yes, there have been numerous attempts to find historical evidence for the story. Suggestions have been made that the Magi were astronomers from Persia or Arabia who studied stars and noted something unusual in the sky. And then modern-day astronomers have sought to pinpoint that celestial event that would have guided the Magi. They explored glorious Orient belt stars as the possible ones to have pointed east, then the appearance of Jupiter in conjunction with the sun, the moon, and Saturn in the constellation of Aries. Then they looked at comets and even supernova events, and yet all these investigations have led to one conclusion. More than likely, the story did not happen. Yet there is something about this story that has kept our attention. The Magi, whoever they may have been, decided to go on a journey following a star, not knowing where it may lead them. They encountered Herod, the ruler of the land, and they noticed the insecurity and immaturity of this leader, who felt threatened in his power and went to all lengths possible to prevent his throne being taken away from him, including ordering the massacre of children in Bethlehem. The Magi recognized that this is not the leader the star was pointing toward. They even blurted out to Herod that they came looking for a real king. I'm not sure if this qualifies them as being wise. When they finally encountered their revelation, they saw it for what it was. Not a big, grandiose king, but a small baby, and they rejoiced. Because of this experience, the Magi turned another way to continue their journey. This week, we had a unique Epiphany Day. And we may not have celebrated it as a feast of Epiphany, retelling the story of the Magi visit. Instead, we witnessed the United States Capitol stormed by Trump supporters with violence and disregard for our democracy and Constitution. And we witnessed the display of white supremacy in the way this attack was handled. The damaging results of immature and insecure political leadership is now seen by the world and by many more people on the Capitol Hill. Our democracy survived, but barely. These threats to our system showed how fragile it is. It is unfortunate that it took the right-wing extremist insurrection for some to experience a moment of epiphany, to realize that conspiracy theories and false claims create real damage. What does this have to do with the Epiphany story, you may ask? And I am indebted to some of my colleagues who have also reflected on the Epiphany story and the events in Washington this week. And they say the journey of the Magi remind us that there are Herods in the world and there are people who will follow them. But there are also Marys in the world who will proclaim the downfall of tyrants and engage in the work with courage and love their people with their whole heart. There are also Josephs who will support Marys, will listen to their own dreams and use their power to resist Herod's plans. We all now have the opportunity to take another way and follow that star that will guide us to witness the real power, the true miracle and wonder that brings healing to all of us. So we pause here to hold one another in care and support as we continue to journey and follow our stars. We pause to extend our love to one another, knowing that our daily lives bring us joys and concerns and sometimes pain and sorrow. We were shaken by the invasion of the Capitol this week, reminding all of us that our democracy is fragile and needs all of us to continue our work, maybe work even harder, and oh my, we need support from each other to keep going so that we do not see anything like this ever again. We hold one another as we grieve and cry out in anger and pain. We hold one another knowing that we are going to keep fighting for the rights of people, for our voices to be heard and respected, and for our democracy. And today I also want to call your attention to another important issue. You may have noticed that I am wearing blue today. January is a National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And this Monday, January 11th, everyone is encouraged to wear blue, to raise awareness of human slavery and human trafficking. Texas consistently ranks second in the nation for number of cases in enslaving and trafficking people. The Texas Attorney General's office reports that at any given time, there are 234,000 victims of labor trafficking and 79 victims of sex trafficking in this state of Texas. It is time for us to educate ourselves about human trafficking and modern-day slavery and learn how to help the victims. So today we hold in our hearts with compassion and care all those victimized by human trafficking and those who are helping the victims to escape and then recover and heal from the abuse. So let us take a moment to pray, meditate, or practice silence. If you feel comfortable, you may close your eyes or let them rest. Breathe with me. I pray with words of Roger Courtney. In this new year, let us lift our vision of what we can do and what we can achieve in being authentically ourselves, in being more loving and more thoughtful, in listening more to others, in working for justice and peace, in connecting with all of creation and with the infinite. Let us breathe now together in quiet and pray the prayers of our own hearts. And I offer you another reading today. This one comes from Richard Rohr, titled Epiphany, You Can't Go Home Again. And he says, an epiphany is not an idea. As D.H. Lawrence said, people can do anything they want with an idea, but a truly new experience changes everything. Before you can do anything with it, it does something with you. Most of us prefer ideas and words. We are afraid of any authentically new experience. And unlike the Magi, we do not tend to allow stars to divert us to a new and unknown place. Most of us stay inside our private castles and avoid such questionable adventures. Yes, we avoid death, supposedly, but we also avoid birth. We miss out on the great Epiphany. An epiphany is not an experience that we can create from within, but one that we can only be open to and receive from another. Epiphanies leave us totally out of control, and they always demand that we change. We would rather have objectified religion, which leaves us potentially in control and never having to change at all. In 1726, an Irish writer and clergyman, Jonathan Swift, published a prose satire called Gulliver's Travels. It is the famous and most well-known work by Jonathan Swift, and the book was an immediate success. In this story, the Gulliver sets on a voyage and experiences various adventures. After a shipwreck, he ends up on a land inhabited by very small people. And it is Gulliver that poses threats to these people, and he overstays his welcome. So he escapes by a boat, only to arrive at a land of the giants. His adventures do not stop here, and if you have not read the book, it is quite entertaining if you can handle its misogyny. Inspired by this story, an artist, Tom Friedman, made a sculpture for Dallas Art Museum. I took a photo of this sculpture as it immediately captured my attention. It is called Untitled, Big, Small Figure. And it illustrates differing perspectives. The big guy is looking down on the little one at the very bottom, and the little one is looking up. Just like in the story of Gulliver's Travelers, the visitor, in this case, you and I, are in between, feeling huge when we look down at the little figure, and tiny when looking up at the giant. In the description of the sculpture, it says that through this sculpture, Tom Friedman invites us to consider what it would feel like to be in either position. We may have found ourselves at times as Gulliver experiencing something very different and trying hard to make it work, possibly with a variety of success. From these experiences, you and I know that it requires intentionality on our part to consider different perspectives, to change our point of view, and not be judgmental about what we see on the other side. Yet only through experiencing something different we encounter our epiphany moments. As Richard Rohr says, epiphany is not an idea but an experience, and we cannot create it within ourselves. The engagement with the other is a must, and that is where the trouble lies. Such experiences tend to change us. Rohr also reminds us that epiphanies are not always pleasant. Sometimes they leave us shaking or even frightened, and not as ready or willing to change. So many of us have at times hunkered down to avoid anything new and unknown, or any unknown adventures. I'm pretty sure you may have met people who believe their minds are so set and enlightened already, so much so that you can see their stubbornness leaking out through their brain gaps. And yet, as a hidden poet says, a change in perspective will change a sunshine-filled hour into a melting hot of an unbearable eternity. A change in perspective will change a meadow of flowers into a plot of weeds. A change in perspective will change a barren wasteland into a field of opportunity. A change in perspective will change a bleak, dark room into a place of sweet rest. A change in perspective is all anyone needs. So go and change. Make flowers out of weeds. The thing is that we are not in control of our epiphanies. We cannot force them onto ourselves or somehow magically create them. Rather, as Rohr points out, epiphanies are gifts that come to us from others. I wonder, how often have you thought of yourself as being the one who has gifted an epiphany to someone else? Yes. You and I are the ones who have this gift to offer, just as someone else helped us experience an epiphany. So we help others to experience theirs. What an amazing gift to give each other this year. And my dear friends, I assure you this gift is very much needed today in the world. And we do not need to be a magi or scientists or academics. Everyone can ponder the mystery of our existence and seek the guidance of the star embarking on the path of Epiphany that trusts the light where it may lead and discerns the truth in love. That is the work in front of us this year. Our responsibility is to stay open for the possibility of Epiphany. Who knows where it will take us? What life will unfold if we but give it a chance? So let's join in our closing hymn, Wake Now My Senses.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
And so we extinguish the flame of our chalice, knowing that its light continues to inspire us and guides us towards new epiphanies. Epiphanies that will change us and our world. As we go forth, know what you seek. Know the star you follow. Be open to asking for directions and learning from the faith traditions of others. And know the gifts you bring. Amen. And let it be.